Hi, everybody.
So, Kate, you and I are going to have a deep, enriching, amazing, valuable conversation as it relates to three commitments you need to make for building a profitable interior design business. What I love about this conversation that we're going to have is it brings up in me a memory of when I first started out. I'm talking like very early year one when I was like on my own. I remember that my husband, by the way, if you don't know, is my business partner. And so he and I were invited by some friends to a Mexican restaurant. And what we all know of Mexican restaurants is generally they're on the like less expensive side of restaurant experiences, right? You generally get like a $4 burrito kind of a thing, you know? And we were invited out to a Mexican restaurant with a bunch of our friends. Everybody was going, and we were not sure we would be able to afford it. We literally were like, I think we maybe should not go out to this Mexican restaurant with our friends. And what in that moment I remember feeling is this like, um, I'm going to call it depression. It was like this depression moment of like, wow, I can't even enjoy friendships because of money.
Mm.
And oh my gosh. And you know what? There's uh, I remember also when we were at that Mexican restaurant, the restaurant messed up my food or whatever, and the manager came out and apologized because everybody had their food except me. And the manager came out and apologized, and he's like, you know what? Don't worry, we're gonna comp your lunch. And the
Oh.
comping of that lunch on that day when I was going through so much of this, like, oh my gosh, I don't even
Mm.
know if I can afford this. And
Mhm.
it was such an eye-opening experience for me. And it really made me feel like I gotta figure this shit out. Is it okay if I say shit?
Mhm.
It's my own summit. I can say shit.
It is if you're with me. Any of my members who I've seen a few of them chatting in here, they know.
Yeah, so I was like, I gotta figure this shit out. And you know what?
Yeah.
I figured it out, and it
Yeah.
is figure outable. And Kate, what I love about you, and by the way, I know you have raving fans here in the audience with us. And if you don't know Kate, I'll be surprised. And if you don't know Kate, though, you should. And Kate has um I'm trying to say I brought her in because she's an expert in profitability. She's an expert in it. She's built for herself two, two six-figure businesses in different parts of the country. So she really knows profitability. So I hand selected her, I'll say, to be the person who talks about and teaches us profitability in this summit. She's an interior designer herself. She's turned um, sorry, she's an interior designer herself turned business mentor for designers at her company she calls Designers Oasis. And I know because she's told me that she calls it Oasis because she knows that sometimes being in business can feel like you're in a desert with nothing, no resources, no people, no nothing. And it's hot and your skin is crusty and burnt by the sun. And then there's this oasis in the middle of the desert with palm trees and a spring of water and an ice cold glass of tea. And that's the like image that she knows she wants you to have as it relates to being in business and her designer's oasis. um, yeah, because after a successful career as a full service interior designer, she has transitioned her focus to helping other designers build authentic, sustainable, and why she's here, profitable businesses. Excuse me, that in particular also support their lifestyle goals. And those two things are so important to have together. She adheres to the philosophy that there is no one size fits all approach. There isn't one. She doesn't believe this. And that's why I have her, because I don't believe that either, to how you run your business, right? So you gotta get clear. You gotta get clear on the outcomes you do want. From there, she helps you build a customized business plan inside her program called the the Interior Designers Business Blueprint. It's like that cute play on words. Um, yeah, and like I said, she's coming at this from having created I repeat myself, two six-figure businesses, one Colorado, one in Texas, as a full service interior designer. Um, I mean, I feel like I could say 100 million things about you, Kate. I'm a fan of yours myself. I think that you're an incredible human being from business to, coaching and life and all the things. And there's one particular thing about you that I find very fascinating. Do you want to tell everybody what that is?
Oh, the little fun fact.
Yeah, just that little tiny little no big deal fun fact.
I used to do trapeze.
My mind every time.
I have to find this video of me almost having a head-to-head crash with my instructor. It was epic. I won't show any of the good stuff, just that one, because it's funny now. But anyway,
It probably wasn't funny then though, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And every time I hear you say that, I am equally as blown away. Like, here's this like professional 6-figure 2-time, and then and trapeze. Like, what? I love that about you. All right, Kate, let's go ahead and dive in because we have a good amount of time and I want to make sure that we really get all the juice that we can squeeze out of this. So let's start like back up a second. First of all, you built 2 6-figure interior design firms in different parts of the country, 2 of them to 6 figures.
Yes. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I'm going to say that.
I'm sure not. And I think it would be amazing if we had like a little backstory to that. Like, first of all, why 2? Why'd you close? Why'd you open? And please tell us. Go.
Yep. I'll give it to you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And I had no idea. I'm seeing a bunch of friends in the chat. Hi, everybody. So a lot of names that I know and people that I've worked with. And so it feels good to be hanging out with some friends today. And your story about going out to eat at the Mexican food restaurant, we've all been there. And thank you for sharing that, because I think we just need to normalize it. We've all been there. And so, and I've been there too. So
I will say that I do operate at $2 million now. So just to be clear, it is figure outable.
Totally. Look at you now. I love that. Yeah. So, I'm going to back up to 2013. I had been working at a corporate architecture firm here in Denver, and I left to start my own residential interior design studio. This is the very abbreviated version. One might say right out of the gate, I had success, as you, if you only define success as the ability to make money. The problem was I gained so many projects so quickly, and I said yes to everything that came my way that I hadn't made time to create really sustainable systems in my business. And the result was I was overworked, I was overwhelmed, I was overworked, I was underpaid. And honestly, I didn't have a whole lot to show for it when you looked at the bottom line. And fast forward about 2017, just before, my husband came to me and said he had a really cool job opportunity in Texas. And I had family back in Texas. That's where I'd gone to design school. And so I said, well, let's just give it a shot. And secretly on the inside, I was like, this is the golden ticket to get out from underneath this hot mess. And so reluctantly, I said yes, and we moved. And I had some time, I had a little bit of a break to refigure things out. I had worked for a high-end residential designer before. I'd worked for a big architecture firm. So I had both sort of the spectrum of experiences there. But what I didn't have was that business background. And that's what I really needed to figure out. I was really good at creating systems, but I needed the time. And so I spent a good amount of time, a number of months, just really kind of reorganizing everything from the inside out. And I am so grateful for that opportunity that I had. And I realized not everybody here could just stop what they're doing and go start over from scratch. And you don't have to. I want to be clear about that. But a couple of months in, I said, the money was running out. And I was like, okay, it's time to start getting out there again and start showing up and finding clients. And I cannot describe to you the difference in doing business in this new way. It was motivating. I felt like I had my creativity back. I was attracting really cool clients, people that I consider friends to this day. I had some really fun projects, big projects. I really wanted some meaty projects that I could really sink my teeth in. And so it was working. What I had done had worked. And within that first year of business, I was already at 6 figures. It was this moment where I was like, the end of the year, I was a little bit tired because we had been working our tails off, but it was a good kind of tired, and, looked at the history of the year and I was like, I cannot believe this just happened. It just sort of happened in the background. So I'm much better at keeping tabs on where things are today. But anyway, this was my first sort of foray into this new way of operating and being really specific about, who I wanted to work with, what kinds of projects I wanted, rebranding, restructuring from the inside out. And I did this in a town where I knew no one. I had no connections. The word of mouth referrals is what got me far here in Denver, that immediate success, the first go around. But I had to do this without knowing anybody. So I was really proud of myself, to be honest. And I thought, I can do this. So anyway, fast forward. And 2 years in, we decided we were ready to move back to Denver. We missed our friends. We missed the mountains. We missed the cool nights and moved back. And I did not advertise my business. I did not tell people that I was looking for client work because I was already focusing on Designers Oasis, was starting to become a thing. And lo and behold, I started getting phone calls from friends and past clients, and the thing took off again. And we worked our little patooties off, but we're getting ready to photograph 3 really exciting projects. And it's just been fun, to be able to kind of feel like you know what you're doing, and it doesn't all feel like you're starting from scratch. And so my point in sharing all of this was, you can do this, and you don't have to move across country and start from scratch. In today, I share the systems, I share the mindset shifts that can help you go from feeling overwhelmed, which is very unsustainable, to having a thriving business, one that supports you financially and satisfies you creatively. And I want to really emphasize that piece, because if your only metric is making money, anybody can make money. But I want you to think about all the metrics of what does success look like for you. Feeling like I can express myself creatively is a metric for me of success. Ease is a metric of success. So that's my backstory, and that's what I'm doing now. And it's so much fun.
I think we need a pom-pom moment to celebrate all of your success.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute. I love that.
Okay. Yeah. And I love what you're modeling for us here, which is what I'm seeing. And guys, post in the chat if you're feeling something that I'm missing. I'm noticing you're modeling perseverance. I'm noticing you're modeling belief in yourself. I don't know, the word for this is not giving upness.
Yeah.
Right? Leaning into expertise-ness, leaning into I can do this, leaning into what's the balance, leaning into whole personness as the way that you approach your work. It's not enough that it's just money. It's not enough that it's just creativity. It's not enough that it's work, but it's got to be work-life balance. It's got to be money plus creativity, and leaning into all of that at the same time. It's a beautiful, okay, Dusty, resilience. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Sean saying it's great to hear that all 3 are possible. They absolutely are. So, Kate,
And I just thought of one quick comment to tap into that.
tell us.
I didn't come up with this, and I wish I could remember off the top of my head who said this, but it resonated so much with me. I've got a sticky note on my board just beyond my monitor. Confidence doesn't come first. What comes first is commitment. Commitment first, and then competence, and then the confidence comes. So confidence doesn't come overnight. You just got to push through those uncomfortable feelings, push through the mistakes, try stuff, throw stuff at the wall, see what works, and keep moving on.
Yes. It's fear, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Okay, Kate. So today we are wisdom dumping. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
You and I have had prior conversations to today, and we made a commitment to wisdom dump and vulnerability and empowerment for our people here today. And so I know that the people that are in here right now are I want to be profitable.
Yeah.
So we're going to focus on profitability today. Sean says, great quote. Yeah. And Nisha, you have to have a growth mindset. That's absolutely right. The thing that calls you forward. I love this. Look at this bundle of wisdom we have.
Well, I know Nisha personally, and she definitely has a growth mindset.
I'm sure. Yeah, Katie is saying have stronger courage than fear has been my mindset. Yeah. And if I'm scared, push on and refuse to quit.
Love that.
Wow, we are some empowered people here. I love this. I love this.
Fantastic.
I love this. All right, so Kate, so today we're talking about like profitability. And I know that in the past, first of all, I think we got to get over this thing that people might be feeling that's like profitability means I got to be about numbers. I'm not a
Mhm.
numbers person. Spending time hunched over numbers like takes away my creativity. I hate it. It's draining, bleh, gross. I avoid it. I hate numbers altogether. So one, is it possible to be profitable and not do numbers at all? One, is that possible? And two, what would you say? What would you say to that effect?
Yeah, no, I'm afraid not. You can't escape numbers, but you don't need to be a mathematician. Does that help?
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like fifth grade math. We need like about fifth grade math.
Okay, got it. Well, it might even be less than that, but I have a fifth grader and I've seen the math that she's bringing home and I'm like, oh, they made a game show about this called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here's my feeling about that. By the way, Kelly's commitment first, competence, and then confidence. Yeah, I hope that helps. Cool. Um, Here's the reality. When you're not profitable, you are likely feeling some of those things I mentioned earlier. Overworked because you're trying to do it all yourself, overwhelmed because you're scrambling for clients, undervaluing your time, underestimating your time. It feels hard to take risks when you're in that place. And you feel like you can't hire help. You feel like you can't invest in yourself and your business or your staff or your clients. Guess what? There's no room to play when that's what's going on. And that obliterates creativity. So,
Hold
the
on, hold on, hold on. Let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in because that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
You may be thinking that dealing with money like sucks your creativity, but actually having no money is the bigger sucker of creativity. And that is so huge, so
Yeah.
huge. All right. Let me know in the chat, like, did that hit you in the stomach? Did that like sucker punch you? Let me know in the chat if you're like, yeah, I was sucker punch. Yeah, Tammy's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathleen,
Yeah.
Candace. Yeah, yeah, Virginia, Sean. Yeah, everybody's like, yeah.
Oof. Oof.
Oof. Sarah says, oof.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know.
Andrea says,
I
yes.
know.
Yeah. Ruben's, oh yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay. That's a big.
So we want room to play, right? The
Mm.
truth is, in order to have a financially sound business, you need to get comfortable with numbers. But again, by no means does this mean you need to be a mathematician. We're talking about some simple, basic business math. First, you need a bookkeeper. That is the absolute first person I would hire in business, ideally someone who understands the design industry. And that doesn't mean that because they're doing the books for you and reconciling everything that you're hands off and you just get the reports and call it a day. Let them do that. And then we're going to look at some numbers and be able to kind of figure out what to make of it. So I say, ideally, you need to have a bookkeeper because that's just the first step. And I'm surprised. I've met some designers who are really far along into their business before they hire that out. And so as soon as you feel ready financially, get that person on the books. Okay. But I want to be clear. Here's what I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about crunching numbers all day. And I'm not saying that in order to be profitable, it has to do with the volume of projects. You can have one project and be profitable, and you can have 20 projects and be in the red. So what I am talking about is I'm talking about understanding the ecosystem of your business and your projects. And so I want to share today, I want to talk to you guys about the ecosystems, and then I want to share those 3 commitments, because you got to kind of understand the ecosystems in order for those 3 commitments to really sink in.
Love it. I was just about to interrupt you and be like, I'm sorry, Kate, hold on one second. we need some explanation around the ecosystem business. What
Sure.
are ecosystems of a business?
Yeah. I think I have this story that I think can help you sort of visualize this, but I was on a walk with my kiddo in an open space park, and we came across this pond, and next to the pond, they had roped it off, and there was a sign that said meadow restoration in progress. And they'd roped it off because too many people had walked in that area. And so they needed to rope it off because that area needed to restore itself. It needed to repair itself. You can think of your business as an ecosystem: your clients, your projects, your website, your marketing strategies, your systems, your tools, technology, your staff. All of this makes up your ecosystem. And just like in nature, when one of those systems is sick or unhealthy or dysfunctional or isn't nurtured, isn't given attention, it can impact the rest of the system as a whole. And so I wanted you to think of that visual, because just like that meadow in that open space park where we were, it needed time to restore. You may need to take some time in your business to restore areas that are sick or unhealthy or out of balance, so that the whole system, the whole business has a chance to thrive. And so what I'm going to teach you today will hopefully help you have a better pulse on the different systems in your business, so that you can start to diagnose and repair what isn't working. And it really starts with the 3 commitments that we're going to talk about today. So does that sort of help lay the groundwork?
Totally. Yeah. And let us know in the chat. Did that help? Give us a yes or no. Okay. Nisha's like, yes. Virginia's yes. Okay. Colleen's
So
so
much.
much.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. We're getting yeses.
Yay. All right. So we want to start talking about the 3 commitments. I'm gonna share the 3, and then we'll dive into each one in a little bit more detail. So before I share the 3 commitments, I want you guys to remember, as you're listening to this today, there's so much power in the act of making a commitment. You don't have to have it all figured out today, or by the end of this week, or the end of the summit, or this month, or heck, even this year. But if you can just say to yourself, I am committed to this because I know what's on the other side, I will start to feel more competent and confident, and have room to play, room to let my creativity really blossom. So today we're just talking about the act of making a commitment, even though you don't have it all figured out yet. Okay, so keep that in mind. So the 3 things: 1 is making a commitment, deciding that you are going to run your business like a CEO. Okay, and this really starts with your mindset shifts. Number 2, knowing what metrics to track beyond your P&L and your balance sheet, and making a commitment to start to track them. And number 3 is committing to building better habits in your business. So those are the 3 commitments, and whenever you're ready, we can dive right into them.
We're ready. Let me know in the chat. Are you ready? Write ready in the chat if you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sandy, ready? Okay. Virginia, ready?
Ready.
Ready? Okay. Yeah, we're ready. All right, let's do it. Go.
Okay. So deciding to run your business, what does it look like when you're running a business like a CEO? The goal of a CEO in a business is to be thinking about the long-term strategy of your business, the long-term goals of your business. And so often we get stuck working in the business, the client work, really specifically. And it's fun, right? Because that's what why we started this work, why we want to be doing this work. It's creative, it's fulfilling, it lights you up. But if you never make time to work on the business and knowing what to work on, then you'll continue to stay in a feast or famine cycle. If you guys have ever experienced the feast or famine cycle, say yes, or give me a thumbs up. I know I have, where it's like you're busy doing the things and working for the clients, and all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, we're wrapping up and I don't know where my next client's going to come from. So it's about consistently maintaining that pipeline and having your next clients geared up and ready to go. So we want to try to get out of that feast or famine cycle. So what does it look like to start to run your business?
I would like to point out, look at how many yeses in the chat.
Yeah.
Like, this is a real thing. This is a real surging problem. Mm-hmm. And if you're feeling this way, I want you to also notice, like, you're like definitely not alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anna said, I'm currently cooking dinner to prepare for the feast.
Yeah. Yay. I love that. Yeah. Look, I have a design degree. I had one business class in school. They don't teach this stuff to you. And so it's stuff that, you guys are all here because you're committed to working on your business. So you're already there. So what does it look like to start to run your business like a CEO? Number 1, it's managing your time. Building in time to work on your business, and building in time for play, creativity, rest, rejuvenation, continuing education. And I like to use the 80-20 rule, where, no matter whether you're working part-time, whether you can have 20 hours a week to commit to your business, or 40 hours, whatever it is, try to keep the 80-20 rule in mind. 80% of the time is doing the work that gets you paid, and 20% of the time running the business, working on the business, improving your systems, finding your next clients, that kind of thing. Also, not leaving money on the table. We leave so much money on the table. It's ridiculous. And I know, because I've done all of the things I'm about to share with you, these examples.
Kate, I would like to just back up a real quick second. I think that a lot
Yes.
of times people think like, oh, let me only nurture the pipeline when I'm in famine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that curates in somebody this like needy kind of energy out there in the world. It's like this needy, like, oh quick, I need a project, oh my god, and that
Mm-hmm.
needy energy doesn't create this empowering leader in sales. And so the
Mm-hmm.
key is to consistent lead generation over time, even when you're quote unquote busy.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And so, that's that's one thing we've been talking about a lot inside my program. Currently, this is a real active conversation, is what are marketing strategies that are working now and work for your personality type, and those conversations. But it's
And
consistency is the consistency, and the long game are really the two names of the game there.
it really is. And also, by the way, our next session with Ken Lewis, who is an expert at marketing strategy, is going to be
Yes,
talking about marketing strategies to attract your ideal client. So if you're
love
interested in
that.
attracting your ideal client, definitely stay for the next session.
Stick around. That sounds like a good one. I love that. So not leaving money on the table.
Yes.
Examples are not charging clients for change orders, not charging clients for additional services that pop up. I'm gonna real quick example. Your client, you're in the middle of a project, and they come to you and they say, hey, I'm just wondering, I think we need a Roman shade in this office, not in the scope of work. And you say, yeah, let me send you some samples. Sounds like a quick thing, right? You're not taking into consideration the snowball effect of what goes into getting a custom window treatment selected, ordered, purchased, made, installed, and all of that. And if you don't take care of it right then and there, you're going to find yourself but these are things that happen all the time. And I've definitely been guilty of doing these things. And you find yourself in like, oh my God, I just spent like 10 hours on this thing and I didn't charge my client for it, so, billing for all of your time. How many of you have ever scraped off a few hours off of your invoices when you send them to clients because you're a little worried about how it's going to be
Perceived.
perceived? Thank you.
Yeah.
Upselling your
Elizabeth is saying, I do this all the time. Elizabeth Crofton. I do this all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Upselling to clients, sending timely invoices. These are all things that we do that are opportunities that we have to be keeping a pulse on, and stop leaving money on the table. And then the last one that comes to mind is having a clear marketing plan and follow-up plan. And I know you guys are about to learn a whole lot more about that with your next guest, but this is a really important one, is to have a marketing plan and a follow-up plan. And my 60-second spiel on this is pick marketing strategies that are in alignment with your personality and what feels like a good fit. Pick 1 to 2, maybe what I always say is 1 in person, 1 online strategies that feel good. Double down on those, maybe 3 strategies. You don't need to try to do it all. 2 to 3 strategies, double down on them and do it consistently for 90 days and see what happens. That's my 60-second spiel. So
yeah, you're like, and see what happens. But what you really mean to say is like, and watch this.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so that is a summary of what life starts to look like when you start to run your business like a CEO. You're managing your time well, you're not leaving money on the table, and you have a clear marketing strategy, and you're being consistent with it. Oh, that's a lot. We're just getting started. All right, number 2 is we're going to talk about metrics, knowing what metrics to track. You may know these as key performance indicators, or KPIs as they're often called. So your balance sheet and your P&L are reports that your bookkeeper will provide you, or you can run through your own software, but they're useful.
P&L is profit and loss, just in case.
Yes. Those are helpful for you to understand your business's overall financial health, but they don't often give the full picture of the health of your business and seeing some of those nuances. So there are two other key performance indicators that are often overlooked by designers. And I'm going to share those with you, and I'm going to give you kind of a broad overview of how you might start to track these in your business. Number one, conversion rates. And number two, your average project profitability. Okay, so let's start with conversion rates. How good are you at moving clients to the next stage with you? If you were to start tracking this information on a consistent basis, you can start to see where breakdowns are happening in your business, and then you can diagnose and treat it. But if you're not tracking this information, you will have a very hard time to understand where things are falling off course. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna share with you guys a typical sales funnel for a designer and client relationship. So we start with the website, right? You have website visitors; those typically fuel a discovery call. So how many of your website visitors are converting to booking a call with you, or downloading a lead magnet if that's something that you have? Of those discovery calls, what percentage of them are qualified clients? Because that's a really important thing to consider, is the quality, not just quantity of discovery calls. Of those qualified clients, how many of them at the end of a discovery call are saying, yes, I want to do a consultation with you to kickstart this relationship off? Okay, so you book a consultation. At the consultation, how many of those at the end of your consultation, you've got clients saying, this has been lovely, I would love to continue this partnership. Can you provide me with a proposal? So a request for a proposal has been asked for. And then the proposal, once it's delivered, how many of them accept your proposals and become a full-fledged client, right? So that's a pretty typical workflow. So if you start to see that your conversion rates are, for example, ending after the consultation and clients are not wanting to move ahead with you, then you can start to look at things more closely, like, am I delivering a high quality, high value consultation experience? And if not, how can I improve that? Or are you attracting the right kinds of clients that are actually wanting to go that full distance with you? Somebody that's going to hire you to take the reins and move a project forward. So there's a couple of things that you could start to look at. But when you start to track those conversion rates, then it's much easier to see where things are kind of breaking down. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, let us know in the chat if that makes sense to you. Yeah,
Okay.
Virginia saying yes. Okay, we're getting a few
Okay,
yeses.
great. Yeah. So
Kate, is there a, Wendy says totally makes sense. Okay. Is there a percentage number that you, oh,
oh, there is, and I should have pulled that number up because I've got it in a spreadsheet, but it kind of depends on the conversion point. So I think start to look at your own baseline. For me, this is for me, a 50% conversion rate is a good place to start, from getting them from discovery call to client. But when you're more experienced and you've been doing this a little while, you want to see that number be more like 80 to 90%. So I say give grace to folks who are just getting started, but if it's below 50%, there's some work to be done. Don't fuss over it. Just know that this is an opportunity and it's all fixable. So 50% is a great starting place. And as you get more experience, that'll start to get honed and refined and better and better. And every discovery call is a qualified client that is eager to work with you. So I think it depends on experience.
yeah, I love that. And something that I teach in my coaching program too is that once we're getting closer to 90%, it's probably an indicator of time to raise prices.
100%. Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's conversion rates. That's a high overview of tracking some key indicators. And the other one is looking at your average project profitability. So your P&L and your balance sheet, they're going to give you overall profitability of your whole project. But I think it's important that you key in on specific data for each project. You need to understand how profitable every project is. This requires that you not only audit your projects, but that you keep tabs on them while you're working on them. So to start, I always suggest going back and auditing a few of your most recent projects, and that's going to help give you a baseline. When you're doing this, you're going to want to look at 3 key metrics of each project. Number 1 is sales, so sales of product. Number 2, services, which is your time spent on a project compared to how much time you estimated for. And then sundries, and I'll get into those here in a second. But real quick, so services, this comes down to tracking your time. You must track your time, even if you charge flat fee on your clients. I will say this till I'm blue in the face. I'm going to give some little tough love here. If you aren't tracking time on your projects, you're not serious about your business, period. And I will die on this hill. I know that there are some designers who just don't think they need to do that. And I really believe that you do. And it doesn't have to be hard. That's the thing. And I'm going to send you some stuff that's going to help you do this really easily. But ultimately, you provided your clients with a proposal for services, and it was likely based on a number of hours that you estimated. A project's profitability can tank if you exceed that number by a lot. And I know going down rabbit holes when you're sourcing is a thing. It's a thing. So you see, this is the best little investment is the time timer. It's the visual timer that helps you stay on track. And I need this because I'm ADD. Okay, so staying on track. And you really just need to know compared to what you estimated how much you actually spent on your projects. And then the last one, and then there's products. So products is if you are selling products to your clients, you need to look at the relationship between your sales, what you charged your client, and the cost of goods sold, what you purchased them for. Pretty basic math. Here's my timer going off. So then the other kind of little nuanced thing I want you to think about is we often think of our cost as only our net price on products, but where do you track additional costs that affect your bottom line? For example, our last install, one of the team members accidentally dropped a lamp as if they were bringing it inside, and we had to pay to replace it. These things happen. It's okay. It's fine.
I had to replace a $5,000 TV.
Fun stuff, right? It totally happens. This is why profitability is so important, because if you don't have baked in margins, then when these things happen, it's a bigger deal than it really needs to be. And so
it can also even be devastating financially in some cases.
Exactly. And you don't want that kind of pressure on yourself in a business. So, you also just want to make sure that you track those things. You can't bill it to the client. You just got to pay for it. So keeping track of that kind of numbers are important. And then sundries. Sundries are things like they're not reimbursable to the client. Things like client gifts, photography. We spend a lot of money on flowers and fresh fruits anytime we do a photo shoot. So we just put that into the project's overall budget, and that's how we come to calculate that. So it's not just looking at, the top dollar and the bottom dollar. That's simple enough math. But if you really are tracking a few of these things, you can hone in and get a little bit better picture of, these types of projects are serving us way better than these types of projects. Maybe we want to stop doing these kinds of projects. So you'll only know that when you start to sort of hone in on some of this data.
Yeah, something that was a huge wake-up call for us when we were first starting out is how much profit we can make on selling furniture. We originally were thinking, oh, it's all about fees. And now about 50% of our income comes from fees and 50% of our income comes from furniture sales. Last year, it was almost to the dollar at 50%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's incredible.
And so having awareness on that gives you room to be able to navigate and move towards higher profits. And it can't happen unless you have the metrics that you're talking about.
Absolutely. 100%. And I love furniture. So it's fun to sell, fun to source, fun to put it in and see it all work together. So it's a really big opportunity and there's a lot of designers who are like, I just don't want to have to deal with the purchasing and ordering and all of that. And that's fine, but know that there's options out there to help streamline that process. But that's for another day. We're going to get into the last commitment, which is about building better habits. Shall we do that?
We will do that. And then we will go into Q&A.
Okay. Sounds good. Quick sip of coffee.
We've already got some great cues coming into the Q&A chat right now.
Oh, yeah. You guys are so fun. I love this. Okay. So creating better habits. First of all, you have to believe that you can build better habits. If you find yourself saying things like, I can't track my time, it's too tedious, or I always forget, or that inner monologue is going to set the tone and it's going to call the shots. So you have to be willing to change your mindset if you want real and lasting results. So there is no one better to talk about habit building better than James Clear. He is the habit building guru. I highly recommend his book. And one of my favorite quotes that he says is, every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become.
Wait. You gotta give a minute for that wisdom drop. Say that again a little slower and let it land.
All right. Every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become.
That's a writer diner, guys. If that's not a note on your computer right now, consider doing that.
Yeah. Great book. Highly recommend it. I've got it on Audible. I've listened to it twice. Okay. But in his book, one of the things he talks about, she just asked me for the name of the book. If somebody could Google that and put it in the chat, because I'm like, it's something very simple, like how to build better atomic habits. Yes. Thank you, Erin. Oh, Erin's here. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you.
A lot of people have heard about Atomic Habits.
Yeah, it's a great book. So I'm going to share with you what he says are the 4 laws of behavior change, and then I'm going to go through a quick example of each. So he says there's 4 laws of behavior change that are a simple set of rules that you can use to build better habits. And here they are. Number 1, make it obvious. Number 2, make it attractive. Number 3, make it easy. And number 4, make it satisfying. Okay, so let me go into an example. We've been talking about time tracking today, and you know how I feel about it. So I'm gonna keep going with that example. So personally, I love and use the software Harvest for time tracking because it's the most robust and most flexible. So whether you're charging hourly or flat fee, or my preferred method, which is hybrid billing, I like Harvest because it helps you accurately track your data. And I have a free gift that you guys are going to get today. And inside I include a tutorial on how to use Harvest if you want to try it out. I know a lot of the project management software systems out there have a time tracking feature. If that's what you want to use, great. As long as you're tracking something, I like Harvest because it gives you more of that granular information that can help you understand your time in a more holistic way. So that's my plug. I'm not going to dog anybody else's tools. Just saying what I like to use. Okay. So make it obvious.
There's a link in the chat for it. Get Harvest.
Yep. So make it obvious. So for example, I'm a Chrome user, and I'm sure if you use other browsers, you can probably do this, but in Chrome, you can set it up so that you have default website tabs that open every single time you launch your browser. I have mine set up to open Harvest, my email, and my calendar. So it's always there. It's the very first thing I see every single day. So as soon as I'm sitting down to start working on client stuff, I put in who am I working for and what am I doing? So that is one simple way just to make it obvious. Make it attractive. Not a lot here, but I say you can put your brand colors and your logo on it. I like things that are branded, so just do that and it looks good. I know you guys are all people that like things to look good, right? Okay, make it easy. So Harvest specifically also has a desktop app and a phone app, and I really love those for 2 reasons. One, on the desktop app, there's a little icon that'll appear at the top of your menu bar. So it's easy to pop it open and put in your information there, or you can put it in a browser. But here's the best part. If I get up and I go for a walk with my dogs and I come back and I forgot to stop my timer, as soon as my mouse moves, it says, hey, you've been idle for the last 15 minutes. How do you want to treat this time? It doesn't know I went for a walk with my dogs. Maybe I was over here at my table looking at samples and pulling stuff together for the client, and I want to keep that. So it'll remind you, hey, you left a timer going. How do you want to treat that time? So that's one of those make it easy things that I like about that. And then With the phone app, same thing. You know, I've run to a project site, or I've been going to the showrooms for a client. I could just plop in my hours and my mileage too if I want on the phone app. So that's a make it easy. That's the make it easy piece, and then make it satisfying. I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I personally like looking at my time trackers. There's a dashboard when you open it up, so you can see how all of your projects are tracking for time in like a big quick snapshot, and that's satisfying, you know. Or if I see like, whoo, we are 80% through our hours, but we're still 2 weeks away from presenting to this client. We need to really double down, get efficient, make some decisions, and start to move on. So for me, that's very satisfying. Maybe for you, it's like, hey, I'm going to commit to tracking my time for 1 week, be diligent about it. And if I do a good job on Monday, I'm going to go get myself a Starbucks, you know, whatever it might be for you. Those are just some examples, but I love James Clear four rules, which again are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So
one thing I do to make it satisfying when I'm sitting at my desk is I write down tasks on these little like post-it notes that look like this. I write
yeah.
tasks like this, and then when I'm done with the task, I put it in my cup.
Oh my God, that is so cute. Do you
And then
know
when my cup gets filled, I'm like, I feel really accomplished.
that is adorable? One
Satisfying. And
year.
I really want to put the note in the cup.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Oh, Sandy says, I love the idea of rewarding myself. Me too, girl. I'm an Enneagram 7. So those steps, again, somebody's asking for them, are make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Satisfying.
Yeah, the best part. I love Post-it notes. I have a love affair with office supplies, specifically Post-it notes. And one year, my assistant and I, we used them all the time, that when we were done, we stuck them on the wall. And at the end of the year, we had this whole wall full of sticky notes. We were like, this is what we just did this last year. You guys like my self-portrait my kiddo made me? Or portrait of me, I should say.
I love it. Looks just like you.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's it. I'm just gonna recap them one more time. So number one, the 3 commitments are: number one, commit to running a business like a CEO, so that you have a long-term strategy for your business that is sustainable and helps you avoid burnout. Number 2, committing to tracking your key performance indicators, so that you can start to identify what areas truly need to improve instead of just guessing. And number 3 is committing to building better habits, so that you can start to create a drumbeat for your business instead of flying by the seat of your pants. Okay. That's it, guys.
Like, there it is. There it is. That's the blueprint for profitability. So if you've written down these 3 commitments, and by the way, like, what I love about this is there are 3. Right? There are 3. It's not, she didn't say like, write down these 165.7. No, it's like, there's 3. If you can commit to these 3, watch your profitability skyrocket through the roof. In the chat right now, you're going to see a link to Kate's gift. Kate, do you want to tell us about that gift?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So we did a bundle because we were like, well, we just want to give it all away. So inside you'll find, we've put together a custom playlist of podcast episodes and a few blog posts around this topic. So more on profitability, time tracking, better habits, those kind of things, money routines. We also did our free download of our 7 habits of highly profitable interior designers. So you can grab that too. And then I also stuck in there a video tutorial, because I'm extra and I'm like, let's just keep giving them stuff away. This is fun. On how to use Harvest to manage your project's time and budget. So all of that's in the little bundle.
Thank you so much for your generosity and gifting your wisdom. We all appreciate it so much. Now, Kate, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that was here. I had a blast. You guys, the summit is outstanding and you guys are in the right spot. So be proud of yourselves for showing up and being here. You're doing the work. You're doing the work.
I love that you said that, because in my experience running my business, education is, period, my key to success. And I love that you just pointed that out.
100%.
Here. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for putting this together. It's really good. All right. Y'all enjoy the rest of the summit.